Hi, and welcome to MapleWoodian.com podcast. We have on the phone Mark Slade of Midtown Direct, Keller Williams Realty in Maplewood Village. How you doing, Mark?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Mark's been with us before. We just wanted to sort of get a sense of Maplewood real estate. We're still a few months into 2014, but obviously the sales market gets rolling maybe a little more with the nice weather and all. And as everyone knows, we link to Mark's website every Sunday for the listings of open houses. I think last week there was something like 12 or 13, so we're in the thick of it, huh?
Well, we're not in the thick of it yet, but we are definitely ramping up. Traditionally, by now, our inventory levels are at least in the 70s, 80s, if not a little bit higher. And we usually peak mid-April. Tax day is not just a day to get your taxes in. It's also usually when the real estate market has the greatest number of listings active on the market. The snow is obviously, the weather's really delayed us between the polar vortex and the snow. But I will tell you, the market is as hot as I've ever seen it. It's absolutely absurd. And I don't like to use that word, but it truly is. Inventory is down. We have 38 active homes on the market today. And of those 38, 8 of them are in attorney review. So there are only 30 homes on the market.
In Maplewood, you're saying?
In Maplewood.
Right.
Last year there were 78 homes on the market. That would have included homes that are in attorney review.
So there are 38 on the market in Maplewood now. So we're saying a year ago there were about 78?
78. So,
now, what do you think what does that account for?
That, no one can, actually, I'll be honest with you. I have meetings occasionally with a person, Fannie Mae, that I'm friendly with. I have, meetings at Zillow with the chief economist there, and the reality is that no one can tell us why there's no inventory. Yes, we can say the snow, can say the cold, but the reality is we always have conditions on and off like that. The only thing I can tell you is the escalation in sales, because almost every market last year in the area sold significantly more homes than they had the year before, and I think that has just taken us and put us into a depressed inventory level. I mean, as an example, in Maplewood, in 2012 we sold 251 homes. In 2013 we sold 321 homes. So that's 70 homes more, and that's, at least 35, 40 homes that should have been in the market now, but because there was no inventory, because buyers were out there in full force, they're gone. Okay, and that is exacerbated even further. Last year at this time, we had 5 homes under contract, which we also call sale pending. Mm-hmm. This year, we have 25 homes that were listed after the first of the year under contract.
What do you mean in your office?
100%. No, this is the entire town.
Oh, I see. Okay. So that's up, but then it sounds like there are fewer homes on the market. And does that make it more of a seller's market, or not necessarily?
Definitely a seller's market. It's been a seller's market for a little over a year, but now it's even more of a seller's market. As a matter of fact, I'm personally aware, having talked to fellow agents in my office and other offices that I know, multiple bids are now so commonplace that every other home, 50% of the homes have multiple bids. Last week, a home on Lenox Place had over a dozen bids.
Wow.
For $735. It's sold for over 8, because I know somebody had an offer for 8 that was rejected.
So if you're thinking of selling, this is the time to start to look into it. And I know from experience,
I think you'd be remiss not to take advantage of this economic scenario where there's no inventory, and yet buyers are out in force more than they ever have been.
And I know from experience to call Mark and pick his brain and ask him about what the market is. You and I have talked when we were thinking of selling, and he knows his stuff, and also how to get your home ready, which we've talked about on the air here. Now, let's remind people the best way to reach you is at Keller Williams. What's the best website and phone?
My direct number, 917-797-5059. Text me, call me. Those are the best ways to get a hold of me.
And you've been in real estate how many years?
4.5 years.
4.5 years. And we were talking before, you are the top seller in the Midtown Direct office for
I've doubled my business every year since I got into the business. Last year I sold $20 million worth of real estate, 40 transactions personally. I hired 2 buyer agents to try to keep up with the influx of buyers. And the reality is, of my 40 transactions, personal transactions, 24, 60%, or in the Maplewood South Orange area. It's where I live. It's where I work. It's my forte. So anyone that has any kind of questions in Maplewood and South Orange, please consider me as a free resource to pick my brain.
So back to the market. Now, it's a seller's market. Now, if I'm looking to buy in Maplewood, that might scare me off. What do you say to those who want to come in?
You off.
Yeah.
And the only way to adjust for that is the buyer that's thinking they're going to buy a $550,000 home should probably set their sights on nothing more than a $500,000 home.
Right.
That way they potentially have the cash reserved to go above asking, okay, and deal with the hopeful, attributes of getting a sale consummated. Because I got to tell you, I'm getting phone calls from people now and never had that are frustrated with their agents because they keep losing multiple bids. And frankly, it's probably not the agent. It's probably the client who thinks it's not that crazy a market. But, clearly, if 50% of the homes are selling in multiple bids, and they're going for way over asking, then you have to ask yourself, what do you need to do to adjust?
So most of the people... most of the people who come to our site are already in Maplewood, so they would be potential sellers. So for them, why is the attraction of Maplewood still good? We obviously know Midtown Direct has always been big, but the taxes are high and they're getting higher. What is it about our town that's making it such a seller's market with all these other problems?
Okay, well, if you're coming out of Brooklyn and you're coming out of New York City and you're coming out of Hoboken, okay, you already are experiencing much higher dollars a square foot cost of living.
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, so if you're in Brooklyn, last time I read the reports, it was somewhere around $850 to $900 a square foot.
Mm-hmm.
In this area, you're talking about $300 a square foot. So the person trading off that's got has now the newest child added to their family, if that's the case, they're saying we don't have enough space.
Right.
So where can we spend maybe the same money and expand our horizons, have a yard, have a little more what we might call, usual traditional quality of life? Well, Maplewood with its diversity and its train line into the city can't be beat.
Now, we're still getting the young family, the young couple with a baby on the way, or a small one. I know you and I live in College Hill, and I know we just had some new neighbors the last year or two who came in with is that the buyer you're still seeing, or is that changing at all?
No, same buyer.
And is there enough of those to keep the market going, or does Maplewood need to deal with any of its other problems, taxes or schools or anything, to increase the pool, or is it still already very big?
I would say there's nothing that the town needs to do at the moment, because there are more buyers.
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Well, it's not a question of that. It's just that, I guess it is that. But, reality is, I look at the taxes. I'm not happy that the taxes are what they are. But, I could reduce my tax bill significantly if I moved out to Morris County. But, if you're looking for a diverse lifestyle, heavily influenced by the arts, the downtown that people love to walk around and see each other. I mean, this is like Cheers, the TV show, the town. And, you don't get that everywhere.
Right, I saw...
we have all that. You can't put a price on those things, in my opinion, and that's what makes the town what it is, and that's why my blog, Love to Live in Maplewood, is what it's called.
And I know there was a discussion on Maplewood Online recently. Someone was saying, does anyone know a cheaper place to move to? And you start to... I've done this. I've looked around. I've been here 13 years. I don't want to move. But now and then you start to look, where else can I go? And you're right. Some towns might have a little cheaper taxes, but the schools aren't good, or they're too far from Manhattan. That Midtown Direct is amazing, depending on the train you get. It's 20... There's one train, I know, it's 25 minutes. Yep. And the downtown is beautiful. The people are good. It's not snobby rich, but it's not a poor crime area. We have a good diversity. You know all the good things.
Actually, I would like to say that one of the things that I love about this town is that it's not like we don't have $1 million homes in the market.
Right. We have $1 million homes, and we have cheaper homes. Right.
I sold $1 million home on Ridgewood, in August. Okay. Bottom line is this: we have affluent people. We have investment bankers. The beautiful thing about Maplewood is that in this town, they're your next door neighbor, and the next door neighbor to them could be a fireman.
Right. And you can go down to Maplewood Village, and it's not too pretentious. It's not too snobby, but it's nice. It's still well kept. And we do have a country club, although the joke is no one from Maplewood is actually a member of the Maplewood Country Club. Although they are, that's not true. That's the joke, and again, it's an exaggeration, but this is a nice country. It's not a country club town, but we can have a country club that does some charity things and it seems to be a good neighbor, and keeps it helps the image of the town to not be kind of a poorer area that some places might be. But it
does. It's a well-kept town. I mean, at least for our taxes. I mean, I'm always amazed the town goes around to pick up our leaves.
Yes, and they
Christmas trees, and
we really avoided the scandals and corruption that a lot of New Jersey towns have had, and even next door in Irvington and Newark, and I've been covering this township committee for more than 10 years, and while I don't always agree with them, there's really smart people, I think, running things, and you never have any kind of scandal or corruption, and I think that's one of the selling points. Quickly, again, we're talking to Mark Slade from Keller Williams Midtown Direct Realty. What would you and I was talking about getting your home. What's sort of the biggest mistake sellers make when they're trying to either decide to sell or when they do decide to get the house and the approach ready?
Now, the number one most critical mistake they often make is overpricing their home. Okay, every $10,000, according to Jeffrey Otto, the state's leading appraisal company, every $10,000 you overprice your home at the day one will cost you an extra $3,500. So if you overprice your house by $50,000, you're going to lose $16,500 in terms of what you should have had if you priced it right at the beginning. And the reason for that is that you overprice a home, your traffic goes down. Okay, plenty of people are smart with a day on the internet. They can compare everything about your home. I mean, there are times that clients, I'm amazed what they find out by doing their due diligence. So it behooves us to be assured of the information that they're gathering. But the reality is, when they're out there and they see a price that's too high, they back off. There's not as much traffic, and if you don't have as much traffic, you don't have as much demand, and that depresses the price. And all that's going to end up happening is you're going to lower your price that much more than you had to. So that's mistake number one. And mistake number two is, I tell people, I use this analogy of walking into your home. Okay? So first thing they're going to do is see the outside of your home. So if you have garbage laying around, if you have peeling paint, that's not going to work too well for you. So curb appeal is critical. And then your first entrance, what you see as you cross the threshold of that home. You don't want to see peeling paint. You don't want to see cracks in the walls. You don't want to see clutter. You want your rooms to be staged, clean, ideally, if you could. You want to take your home, and forgetting the fact that you lived in it for 10 years or 20 years, and you're happy with your style, you have to go out and buy a West Elm catalog or a Restoration Hardware catalog to see what today's buyers are looking for.
Yes.
That's what your home should look like, because once you decide to market your home, it's no longer your home. It's a house. It's a property. And it's your bridge to where you want to go.
Yes, I remember years ago, my parents lived in Summit. They put their house on the market, and I remember going to the open house. I kind of snuck in to look, and I did not recognize the house. It had been so cleaned up and straightened up. Not that they were messy, but it was a different look. And I like to go around to open houses just to see, and I would guess that's something that the seller should do, is kind of go to other open houses, sort of see how it's done, and then know that, I love my home, but that doesn't matter. I'm not buying it. Someone else is.
Correct. Well, I definitely think sellers should take a look at other people's homes, so that way they can see with their own eyes what the realtor is hopefully telling them. That a home that's staged, that is in good condition, good appearance, is great. Because as I started to say, the analogy is, it's a taxi meter running in reverse. So every crack, every dent, every scuffed floor, every dented appliance, it's running backwards. And that's not a good direction to run in when you're trying to sell your property.
Let me ask you this, though. There are some times, if you have, say, an unfinished basement, or you have an area that could be upgraded to something, is it better to leave it sometimes and let the new buyer come in and say, I could do a lot with this space, rather than they come in and they see that it's done a certain way? I don't like that basement. Where do you gauge how much to let the buyer do their own, or how much do you sort of do things? I don't know.
Well, the best way to gauge that really is to let you know that today's buyer, they can afford the average median price home at $500,000+.
Right.
They're expecting a certain amount of appearance and quality for that.
Right.
Okay, and the more you give them, the more eager they are to buy. So, basement-wise, if you can finish your basement, that's great, okay, because that's now usable space, which right now it's not. It's just storage, okay? Plus, a finished basement always makes people feel I don't have water problems, whether you do or you don't.
Right.
Okay? So, always finish a basement when you can. If you can't finish it, at least have it freshly painted. Walls, ceilings, and floors, okay? Because a clean basement comes across much differently than a dirty, cluttered basement. As far as your kitchen, I tell people if you don't have the money and you have an older kitchen, at least consider changing out the hardware, which is pretty inexpensive online, and, maybe painting the cabinets if that's what you need to do to give them a fresher look. I don't believe that people should spend if they don't have, but I will tell you that if you have a little extra money, it's always good to put it into your home, because the irony is a good realtor will tell you how you can make $3 for every dollar you spend.
Right, and I know the less the buyer has to do, I know for years we had an in-ground oil tank, and my insurance guy kept saying, you're not going to be able to sell. So we, a few years ago, we got it removed, cleaned up. We got a new furnace in that's gas, all that. And I still see people, as you know, getting oil tanks removed, and that's, I would assume, another hassle that no one wants to deal with. We have a new roof. Is there anything not to spend?
It's a good point you bring up, Joe.
Please.
I have clients that said, "Let me wait and deal with the oil tank once I have an offer." Well, here's what happens. Your buyer has a certain time frame in the
Exactly.
Okay, and it's great if the tank was properly decommissioned, okay, and didn't leak.
Right.
Okay? That's very rarely the case.
Yes, because we had a leaky one, and we had to clean it up, and it was all done and it's approved, and got all the environmental approvals, and it's gone, and we have a new furnace in. But you're right, people want to buy the less hassle. I mean, when we bought our house, I think we had everything was in good shape, except there was some painting that had to be done. And I would imagine when buyers don't want to do more than they have to, or, when it comes to finances, what is the thing to wait and let the buyer deal with? When is it too much money to invest?
Every buyer is different.
Yeah.
So, it's like, I list homes that are in perfect shape, that are perfectly staged. I list homes like 6 Rutgers. I recently listed. The person living in the home is almost like a stager. I'd hire her to be a stager. She's
excellent.
Curator. Okay, that home went 5% over asking.
Great.
Okay? 6 bids on the first weekend. But, I have homes that aren't. Okay, the house in South Orange I listed, kitchen is original, 40 years old plus.
Wow.
Basement is unfinished and cluttered. Attic is unfinished and cluttered. Bathroom is original, missing a door on the cabinet for the sink. Bottom line is, I still have 4 offers.
Right, but that's more the market too?
You clean it up, you organize it, and you make the most you can out of it. Okay, you'll get the right buyers. Now, in this case, I've got 2 regular buyers that are looking to put their own stamp on, to your point, looking to put their counter, they want their they like the blank canvas. Okay, and I have 2 investors on that house. But when I was Rutgers, it was all about the buyer.
Right.
So, if you want the buyer that has the money, you want to make sure you put as much into the home if you can afford it, with good guidance. Okay, don't overspend, but you want the house to look like a Broadway theater set. Okay, you want the house to have that look, so the pictures, and if you do a video like I do, everything that you do is so enticing, it's like Cold Stove Creamery. Like it, love it, gotta have it. And, I love making it, so it's gotta have it.
Excellent.
Multiples, and that's when I go over asking.
Okay, well, again, Mark Slade, thanks for being with us. As always, he's at Keller Williams Midtown Direct in Maplewood Village. Also on the phone, 917-797-5059. And I know you have several online areas you are available on. What's the best website? Is it I Love Maplewood?
That's a tough one, because unfortunately that's where I put all of my effort. I guess the best one is either Maplewood and SouthOrangeHomes.com. Obviously I have Good Homes for Good People, my Maplewood, NJOpenHouses.com, my blog, LoveToLiveInMaplewood.com, and, I still own another dozen sites.
Oh, my God.
Well, that's where I keep expanding my efforts. So,
and you can always go down to your office.
About finding the most buyers, and finding the most buyers means that, I can sell homes better, more quickly, because I line the buyers up when I go to market my homes or listings.
Excellent. And again, we always post the open houses on maplewoodine.com every Sunday. But if you don't want to wait till Sunday, go to the website, or you can actually call. People actually use phones still, or even walk in the office down on Maplewood Avenue.
Well, yeah, I would actually say that, because in all honesty, I don't update the website until late Friday night, midnight, or first thing Saturday morning, because if I do it any earlier in the week, they change so drastically.
Oh, of course.
Houses come off, houses are added, times are changed, you name it. So, you can get an idea, but I wouldn't bank on anything you see on a Wednesday. So
I agree. Hey, thanks again as always, Mark.
Sure, thank you, Joe.
Be well.